Tell me about the differences. What did you see from the communism point of view, let's say?
Anyone that has more Marxist views, communist views, oftentimes they don't realize they do, or it sounds good and they don't necessarily know histories or countries. I will pay for their flight, their hotel, and their trip to go to Cuba.
What's the point?
What do you think the point is?
Well, the way that you said it is like, oh, dude, pay for me. I go to the Sheraton and fuck it. Great vacation.
Yeah. Guess what? There isn't a Sheraton because the government owns every hotel.
I'm sure that there is a hotel there. Tourists go and spend money.
Correct.
They live in a bubble.
And it's not a Sheraton. The bubbles don't really exist. I was in Havana. I drove back and forth across the entire country.
That's what I'm saying. But there are places that people go, they just drink alcohol, and they're in a 5-star, which maybe it's like a 3-star. Besides your generosity that you just keep spending money on everyone, just tell me what the fuck happened.
The experience you just mentioned is, in theory, makes sense. In practice, doesn't, because you can't start a hotel. Every single hotel is owned by the government. The very best ones feel like a youth hostel when you go camping or when you go travel around the world. The positive that was really interesting, Cuba is a land it was all Spaniards. Once slave trade was illegal in the U.S., it became the largest slave trade location in North America and South America. It was like slaves were coming from Africa to there. Well, those people have all integrated so well because everyone's so poor. Every single person is just so poor. And they're all just hoping to get food and hoping to have clothes and feed their kid, that it's created this community that I was surprised at how just happy, focused, and aligned on their purpose everyone was. Because it was just like, I just want to eat. I just want to get my food. I'm so thankful. Guess what the wage a month was for a priest or a pastor starting a church?
It's like $10 or something like that.
$50 a month. So we'd come in and we'd offer $100, $200, and they'd just start shaking and crying in American dollars.
You were offering money for what? Like sex or what?
People were starting churches. I've never done a mission type trip, and I thought it'd be really interesting to Cuba, and thought it'd be interesting in this mission. So these are people starting or have started churches. 10 families, we gave like $600 to $700. And we told them, you cannot spend this on your church. You have to spend this on yourself to make sure you have the food and the stuff for you and your kids. They close their eyes, they'd put their hands out, and then we'd each put like $100 or $200 each, and then it ends up being $700 to $1,000. And they burst out uncontrollably crying, emotional.
I think that you get a family in the USA that is making whatever, and you give them 10 times, 12 times, 15 times their monthly salary, and they will do the exact same thing.
Totally agree. And this is the thing that blows the circuits in my brain. I could almost see the Florida Keys when I was on the North Shore of Cuba. It's 90 miles from the house that I ended up being in. We landed in Miami on Sunday. I went down there on Monday. I was in the Florida Keys. I can see Cuba. It's the same vibe, same tropics, same land. It's just an island just up. But the system that operates it has some of the most expensive houses in the United States, right, along these little islands. And then it has complete poverty, just a different system. That's all.
The challenge is that you cannot experience today communism without being choked by capitalism. I don't want communism. Fuck you, Marx. I don't think that Cuba would be so fucked if it hadn't been excluded by all the capitalist countries. So there's a big blockage, I think that is called, that has been done to Cuba for the last 50 years. And this is why the only thing that you see is super old cars and shit like that, right?
Cars? So the old ones weren't really there. Most of the cars today are American, Korean. They're coming from all over. I was told only 5% of Cubans own a car.
The cars on the street are from the 50s, 60s, or they are 2010?
1 out of 10 cars I saw were from the 50s or 60s. 95% of the cars I saw were from...
Made in China, maybe.
But I didn't see Chinese brands. That was the weird thing. Like, I saw a lot of high-end days. I saw a lot of like random Asian brands. The capitalism comments tied to Charlie Munger's quote where he said, greed doesn't run the world, envy does. It's like there's a certain amount of enviousness. Like, let's just forget about the rest of the world. Let's imagine the entire world was just Cuba. It's kind of operating the same way it was. Sorry, it's worse because capitalism left and there were some businesses there, yada, yada. Dude, out in the country, guess how they get around? Horses. They literally have horse and buggy. A friend who has a truck, I have a Cybertruck, he has a truck. I kept going, man, you have a beautiful horse. You just have a beautiful horse. And so every time we'd see horses, he'd just start laughing and he'd stare at me and I'd be like, yeah, they're using the straps and you use what do you call that thing you use? I've never thought of this comparison, comparing the reins on a horse to the steering wheel. It's like, yeah, it's all the same. It's awesome. Beautiful horse you have. He was laughing each time, but everybody's just in like horse and buggy. Biggest takeaway is capitalism creates free the lack of freedom creates the fairness, and the fairness, whether it's a world war, whether it's communism, these horrible things create a bonding between humans that is palpable and powerful. Like the race stuff, nobody cares, nobody knows. The like sexes, nobody cares. No, I mean, there's definitely more of a male society there because it hasn't, changed as much, but everybody's just kind of chill. And granted, I was in churches and with really religious people, which I think tend to feel a little happier anyway. Granted, there was a rock thrown through our bus, and the guy who organized the trip was hit by the rock, and he's super religious. He was like, the devil's coming after us. I was sitting next to him. It was wild. It hit him in the side, broke the whole window. And they said this does happen. There's just people sitting in ditches waiting because they just have no money, and they'll just kind of jump or take whatever you have. And like I tried to go out in Havana the night we were in Havana. They're like, do not go out there. You're a gringo. Look how pale you are. You're going to get mugged, and they're just going to take whatever you have. So there's definitely still poverty. Every window had bars on it. The patio had this huge cage. I was like, wow, are we being protected, or are we a prisoner? The microcosm is we're in this building and we've got all cages around us. It looks like a bird cage where we're on the patio.
I grew up in Argentina where there was no bars anywhere. And then I remember the moment that bars started coming into our neighborhood, and we had to put, and it's like, and it was not really what? It's like, no, we need to do because the other day they broke into the window of the other person and the other one. And then everyone start putting bars. And then it just becomes normal. You don't realize. And here where I am right now, I'm in Spain, and it's the same thing. Bars, 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 bars. And I'm like, Jesus, this is such a terrible leading indicator of where we are going. I have not seen a neighborhood saying like, finally, guys, okay, let's remove the bars, let's remove them. Never. They stay there and they keep expanding, which is kind of insane.
It's so deep because are we being protected or are we being a prisoner? Hard to know, right? Okay, communism, we're doing communism to protect you from the rich, evil people, and we're going to make everyone equal. And then you're suddenly putting bars on your house because of this new great system.
But then people keep voting that shit. Even in a capitalist country, the challenge with socialism, communism, Marxism, let's say like Venezuela, which is like, yes, red t-shirts, let's go, Marxism, communism. We are a communist country. Or Cuba. This is about countries that start leaning left, and then they become more socialist, and then they The challenge is that one of the first things that these governments do is they give a lot of benefits to people, a lot of free shit. Nothing is free, but a lot of free shit.
It appears free.
And again, nothing is free because
you're paying.
Someone needs to pay for this. And usually whoever pays passes down that bill to somebody else to share it. So, you want to charge more taxes? Well, the guy at the store will need to raise the prices because the guy at the store is not going to work for free. He needs to keep his margin. At the end of the day, the consumer ends up paying more. Everything becomes more expensive. And again, easy to see in countries with inflation or hyperinflation, something that Americans, Europeans started experiencing after 2020, 2021, and so on. But the challenge is that by giving free shit, there is a piece of society that stop really pursuing life, stop really trying to better themselves because they get a handout. And maybe a good way of saying this is just think about your kids, right? And imagine that monthly allowance or weekly allowance that you give to your kid. You keep giving that after 18, after the 20s, after the 30s, after the 40s. What is the incentive of your kid, which is not a kid anymore, to start working and to start finding their purpose in life and starting being a productive member of society? Not much. Not because it's not inside of him or her, but because you fucked it up. You changed the incentives, and now the person is not incentivized to go after it. Again, maybe it comes from a good place, maybe it comes from an evil place, maybe it's a mix, but it always ends super bad. So then you end up in Argentina, you end up having like 50% below the poverty line. I wouldn't say that everyone got free shit, but a big portion. So now all of a sudden, these are the people that are very, very motivated to go and to march, to go and protest, block the streets, get another salary raise, and everything mandated by the government, right?